watch a lot of movies, read a lot of books, look at a bunch of photographs, and it will unlock what is within you.
Welcome to the Red, Green, Blue podcast.
Today, I'm going to be talking about the importance of creativity in the business of photography and filmmaking. Now, this may seem like a no-brainer, but it's funny to me how often it's lost. Like creativity, see, the problem with filmmaking and photography from a business perspective, it's not really very scalable. You can only take so many photographs, you can only make so many films, so you hit a ceiling. And because that's two of the great tests of a good business, is it scalable? Is it repeatable? And the only way to, since film and photography really isn't scalable, is for you to increase to go up market. And that you do by increasing your profit margin. And the only way to do that is to have a creative, distinctive voice, to have your own unique ideas that nobody else can do. So that's what sets you apart from everybody else. And you see this, like, there's a lot of photographers out there who seems like they're shooting all the time, but they're never making any money. The reason why is because they're kind of stuck in this commodity, low margin form of business. Now, margin, I should probably explain that because not everybody might know that term. Margin it's the amount of money you make after you sell something. So if it costs you 50 cents to get a bunch of carrots, and then you sell the bunch of carrots for $1, you have a 50% margin because you made 50 cents off of selling those carrots. So the same thing applies to photography. So if you're photographing all the time but never making any money, it feels, is probably because your margin is too low. So the way around that is to raise your prices. But of course, if you raise your prices, you have to have a creative, distinct enough vision that you can do stuff that other people can't. If you're doing commodity photography, where your photography or films look like anybody else could make them, you're going to have a very hard time asking for more money or participating in a higher market, increasing your margin, as it were. But also creativity is very important for the repeatability aspect of business, because if you can't be consistently creative, then you're not going to be able to repeat what you've done before. You're just going to have like a one-off success and then never be able to really produce again. So, I mean, of course, there's varying degrees of creativity. And to me, I don't really like to talk about like where creativity comes from, because I mean, it's really ambiguous. And if there was a system to it, then it wouldn't be creative, right? Because the whole point of creative is that not many people do this. So it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It comes from places, of course, like Ratatouille, the film, is a wonderful exploration of creativity. But it is very, very, very important and certainly should be a focus. So I don't like how to foster creativity. There's this great book by Ed Catmull, who founded Pixar and is currently the director of Pixar and Disney Animation. He writes about how they try to, I don't think they're trying to like teach creativity, or he feels they found the secret to creativity, but he tries to create an environment where creative people can be creative, rather than suppressing creativity, just kind of making it so it can happen. And he talks about that in that book in great detail. It's funny, it's got a picture of Buzz Lightyear on the cover, and I've been embarrassed to recommend it to people because of that. It's like I'm recommending a children's book, but it's actually a really serious business and art book. Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull. I mean, it's really wonderful. Every artist should read that book. But yeah, it's Buzz Lightyear doing like a Mickey Mouse pose. Yeah, you just kind of feel like it's meant for children, but it's really not. And it's a really interesting story also on how Pixar was founded. It's got a very winding road to success and really should have gone out of business multiple times. It's kind of a miracle that company continued. And it was really in large part because of Steve Jobs writing checks during an extremely difficult period for it. So I've explained how creativity is important because you want to be able to increase your margin. And once again, I don't really know how to teach it, but I do think, and I don't think anybody knows how to teach creativity. Again, if they say they do, they don't really know. They don't know what creativity is because it really is antithetical to the whole concept. that you've created a system to create creativity. Doesn't work that way. But I can tell you that looking at what other people have done really, really helps. Watch a lot of movies, read a lot of books, look at a bunch of photographs, and it will unlock what is within you. Of course, then you go out and you experiment with these ideas, you combine them, you mix them, and then you come up with your own thing. But it's really important to focus on that. I mean, that's particularly a problem in creativity. Well, creativity is a problem because of the technical aspect, especially I think a lot of people end up in photo education, really focus on the technical aspect a lot. Because when you're teaching, and I've been in this position when I was a professor at a university or teaching at a university, is that I would kind of teach, like I'd introduce people to different things, have different speakers. But then there was another teacher who would teach them the correct, I'm doing air quotes right now, way to take photographs and a system. And then she would hang them up on the wall. And every student's photograph would look exactly the same, all like 50 of them. And they would all look pretty good because she had taught them the system to take photographs, her system. But the problem with that, it doesn't last. It doesn't scale. Like, it was like tips and tricks. It was indoctrination. And honestly, all those kids, if they're continuing photography, they're going to have to unlearn that because they have to create creative work. Whereas my way of teaching was much more messy and basically is a lot of guest speakers, a lot of looking at work, and then a lot of photographing. That was it. It was good times. But students would come to me, they might be majoring in nursing. This was a general elective credit class, I should say, or chemistry. And they'd be like, well, why aren't you teaching us the system on how to make a good photograph? But the problem is there is no system. I mean, once again, if there is a system, then you'll never get a high margin in your photography and you will go out of business. You'll work all the time and you will go out of business. So there wasn't any. But because they came from more objective fields where there is a system, like if you learn the rules of nursing, you can get a pretty good job and make a pretty good living. But that doesn't work in art. Like if you learn the rules of art, quote, I'm doing air quotes again, rules, and you can take a pretty good photograph, you will not make a pretty good living. You will not make a living at all. And honestly, you won't even take very good photographs either, which is why we're all in this anyway, or you won't make very good films. So that's the problem. Students really demand a system. And if they don't feel, they might not feel like they're getting their time's worth. So teachers are pressured into creating a system, teaching a few tips and tricks that will short-term improve your photography rather than looking at the long game, because they need to get that good teacher evaluation within those 2 months. They can't think, well, 5 years out, then you'll actually be a good photographer. So that's one of the reasons why there's so many systems of photography, because it's just the shortcut. Also, you can make bad photographers with no talent make okay photographs if you just say, all right, do this, do this, do this, and your photographs will be better. But long term, it's very damaging to people's creativity and their ability to develop a unique style. And also, I mean, the cool thing about you develop a unique style, and the cool thing about art in general is if you are 20 or you're 19, you can develop unique style. You can do really creative, amazing work if you're 25. And honestly, your teacher, if they haven't developed a creative style at that point of, and being older, then they probably never will. And they may have either had no talent or they fell into the trap of thinking that they could read enough rules that they would take good photographs. So I don't know. As I've said before, just look at photographs, take photographs, look at films, make films. And I think on the film side, I've noticed because films are everywhere. Everybody's watched a bunch of films, basically. You don't have to go out of your way to do it too much. But the biggest hang up people have with filmmaking, it's expensive to make a movie, or at least the perception is as expensive. So people just don't do it. But really just go out there, grab a couple of friends, grab a couple of actors. There's loads of actors who want to act. And in fact, a playwright once said, trust me, there's never been anything so poorly written that an actor wouldn't act it. So you don't need to be nervous. Just get a couple of actors, maybe a bounce board, some sort of reflector, and just go out and shoot a movie in a park, write a short script. Just go out and shoot something, even if it's just to experiment through a style of filmmaking. But just go out and shoot. Because in film land, everybody just spends forever talking. In fact, that's one of the oddities I found in film education. Because it's funny because I've worked in photography, I've worked in film education, photography education, filmmaking, and photography. Like, it's weird to me that in film, you don't make a movie in every class. See, in photography education, you take photographs. You'll turn in, I don't know, 8 to 16 photographs per class. But in film education, you just end up writing a bunch of papers. And I think it's because, back in the day, to shoot 35 millimeter film or even 16 millimeter film would cost, $400 to $1,000 for every 10 minutes of footage you shot. So it was really prohibitively expensive to have 30 students do that every class. Really, every class. That would be so much money. And even videotape recorders and stuff like that were fairly expensive. But now, if I were running a film program or students, I would just require everyone to have at least, it's just not a weird expectation. They can shoot it with an iPhone. Just go out and shoot a movie. Of course, once again, with the Get a Camera app, you can rent gear for super cheap from people and just go out and make it, Like, you could rent a basic video package, a really good camera, like a Sony FS7 or something with a Canon lens for probably, I don't know, once again, $150 a day. You could probably get something for less. You could rent a Canon 5D for around $50 a day and go out, spend that day shooting with that camera, then get back home and edit it. You'll learn more by doing that than of writing a million papers. So again, watch movies, look at them, think of how you can do things unique. Don't be too scared to try something new and experiment. Again, that's a lot of people. I think they fall into that. And, I don't think film school is very good at that because you get a lot of teachers who feel it's their job to criticize students' work. And that is demotivating. I don't think I've ever come out of criticism about my work thinking like, yeah, you know what I want to do? Go do that again. It's like, I really don't view it as productive. And I don't believe in saying negative things to people about their work. I just say positive things and degrees of positive things. So that's really great. Well, so check out that book, Ed Catmull's Creativity, Inc., about the founding and success of Pixar. And be sure to be focused on developing a new style because that's the only way you're going to increase your profit margin, which quite frankly, in this day and age, when it's easier to take a photograph, like to actually get an image on the sensor, it's much easier to get an image on the sensor than it was to get an image on the film. You have to have a distinct style to distinguish yourself. And it used to be you could be kind of a tradesman and kind of like if you got it in focus and properly exposed, you could make some sort of living. But that's just not the case anymore. There's too much competition at that end. The only way to really develop, to make any sort of living or really any sort of money at all even, is to have a unique style that's different than everyone else. So focus on that creativity, look at a lot of work, try new things, experiment. I should say, like, creativity, that's where personal work is very important because when you're on a shoot or you're on a film set and you're getting money from a client, that's not the time to experiment. That's the time to do what they're expecting to get. And so that's where personal work is so important for you to continue to develop your creativity and develop your own style, is because when it's just you and it's just you and some people in the park, you can experiment. You have that kind of luxury to do that. So it's exciting times and it's exciting to be in the medium. So get out there and film. Thanks for tuning in. Rent some gear, start creating. Thanks a lot. Bye.